believe we're live. How live are we? Welcome, Jester. Welcome, Black Cat. There we go. Welcome, Mars. Sort some things out really quick. Okay. It is Sunday, the 26th of January, 2020. And by the end of this stream, let me turn myself up. By the end of this stream, I'm just going to say that again because I was quiet. It's January 26th, 2020, and by the end of this stream, I hopefully want to have a new template file. Hope I'm not phasey. No, I'm raw. Okay. There we go. Welcome of the Ethereal. Welcome, Saxon Fox. There's the screen. Oh, that's the wrong... Why is it doing that? Why is it... There we go. No, that's not what I want. 2? Oh, okay, it was getting the wrong display. This one. Every time you plug in displays, it messes with that. Alright. So, not that much happened between last week and this week. We're moving a bunch more stuff out, and we're getting ready to do a rummage sale. One of the people who owned the old craft store came by to, see if there was anything worth keeping, but couldn't really find anything. So we delayed the sale for a week just to make sure that, we weren't giving away prized possessions or anything. I'm sorry, I'm thirsty right now. I found this Recover 180 stuff. And the only reason I got it is because it's called Blood Orange. And the guitar sound I made when I was messing with this stuff the other stream was Blood Orange, so hey. So, how's everybody's week? How's everybody's weekend? Crackly? That might be your headphones. My delay, it might be some of the sound, but gone now. Yeah, that might be connection. How are y'all doing? Because I'm pretty chilled out. I'm not as tense as I was last week. I'm not just going. Been drinking less coffee. Been following more schedules and taking more, downtime. I got into playing Metroid games. I got into emulating Metroid games this past week. I downloaded, not Metroid for NES, but Metroid for the Famicom. And it's kind of annoying, because it always starts you at the beginning of Brinstar, like the original Metroid game. It always starts you at the beginning of Brinstar, and it doesn't have the password system. And every time you start it up, there's like this thing where you have to load, and then like it says, please wait. And then it tells you to like switch cartridge mode or something to mode B. And then like there's a control that I just like mapped my Xbox controller to do that. And I'll just sit and like the thing about emulators though is you can just fast forward through everything. So because it's because it's Famicom, I just have I just have the triggers set to fast forward and rewind. So I cheat a lot when I die in Metroid by just reversing time so I don't die, and I play every game like Braid basically when I emulate, because I'm not I don't have sportsmanship. I'm not sportsly. Play some primes. There's a mod for the Metroid Trilogy Wii ROM that lets you play the Metroid games on your PC with like a mouse and keyboard. And lets you set like a wider field of view. And I want to play Metroid Prime like that. That's the way that I swear to God, they should, if they put out Metroid Prime 4 on the Switch, it better have FPS controls, and they better re-release all of the other Metroid Primes to have FPS controls. Because Jesus Christ, like I don't like the weird tank control like aim thing that they have in the original scheme, and I don't have a Wiimote, so I'm gonna try that mod out. I think one thing that I want to try to do is play and beat the first games in every like big franchise. Like play the first NES games for like Zelda and Metroid. Find the first F-Zero, play that. Find the first Final Fantasy. But, you know, I was doing some work on this project here. And, oh man, I really miss having the trackpad, because I could just zoom around like a wizard. Do I have batteries? I'm gonna look really quick. That's a AAA. Where the hell? Alright, it's on. What's its battery like? %. That's fine. It'll last. Alright, cool. So I did a little work on this project, and I was trying not to get sidetracked by looking too much into NES audio. First F-Zero is really good as far as SNES titles go. Yeah. I want to play like, but I've been playing the first Metroid basically, and I beat Kraid. I got like everything but the barrier suit, the Varia suit in Brinstar. And I almost went down and fought Ridley, but I didn't want to do that. Like at the time I just kind of wanted to listen to the Kraid music. Cuz there's that long section before you get to Ridley that's just like you know, you have to go, there's like a weird fucking thing like you got to do to like get all the power-ups you need from that area. And that was exhausting. And so I just died and then reset in Brinstar and fought Kraid. But I want to go fight Ridley, even though there's there's more power-ups and shit. You don't have to fight Ridley. I might just get the power-ups from his area and leave. Cause I like Ridley. I don't want to fight him and then go fight Mother Brain. I want to beat the first Metroid, just to understand like, okay, so this was the experience. This was like, you know, you were a kid in 1986, and your older brother like just got fucking Master of Puppets and has been blasting it, and like, you know, you're playing this like robot thing, and like the experience of like this initial game. I just want to have that. I want to get like, I understand the formula, and then play all the fucking Metroid games. I want to play all of them. Just like, I want to play all the Halo games again when they're on PC. But yeah. So let's talk. Let me just. Editing reasons. So, let's talk about what I did in this project so far. The first stream, I built this beatbox kit, and I had custom images for these, but it didn't carry over because it's a different drive. But essentially, I went through and beatboxed all of the sounds. Where are they? Is this not? Oh man. It's not seeing the MIDI. No! Hang on, it's giving me trouble. Why? That's weird. MIDI Studio. It sees it. Come on. Okay, this is weird. I just had this working. I apologize. I'm gonna take a minute to get my keyboard working here. First Zelda game is Breath of the Wild. I think my first Zelda game that I like got into was Wind Waker, because I didn't have any Zelda games for N64. I wanted them. It's not letting me. Okay. Why? Test MIDI setup. Okay. It's getting input. Let's refresh. It's getting input. Logic's not. Alright, I'm gonna reset Logic really quick. Because something's fishy. Something's fishy here. I really like Skyward Sword, but like, I feel like my bias is obvious. I haven't even played much of that game. I like the aesthetic of it, though. Hang on, I gotta turn off notifications. Well, like, it's islands in the sky. That's sort of my whole deal. Alright, where the fuck? I don't get why the MIDI is being so strange. Like, I gotta be able to play stuff on the stream for it to work. It's a music stream. Updated sound library content. Okay, sure. Do that. Cool. No. Okay. Hang on. What the fuck? Give me a second. Stop it. Hang on. I just want to get into my project. Right, do we have MIDI? Yes! We got it! We did it. Okay. How much were the Sky Islands on Jupiter inspired by this? I don't really think they were inspired by that as much as they were. I don't know. I sort of arrived at the idea that there would be floating Sky Islands. Because like I don't know. I originally just started with the fact that there were 8 universes, and then eventually the idea that the capital planet in each of those 8 universes would be one of the 8 primary planets of like our away from the sun, and like we're the 3rd dimension, so we're like the 3rd planet away from the sun. So like I just like the fact that there were plant islands kind of just I just sort of arrived on that because Jupiter is a gas giant and there's a lot of air, so it would make sense if there was just stuff in the air that could form. But I mean, I like the idea. I really liked Wind Waker, how there were just sections. I like the sections where you're just kind of sailing. People want everything to be like right back to back in games. Like, I don't like that. I don't want to overwhelm myself. Sometimes I just want parts of the game where I can just chill. Anyway, now that we got this working. So, last stream, I made this. Let's see if I can make it big. See if I can make it even bigger. And not last stream, but the first stream I did. I made this Ultra Beat kit, which consists of just me beatboxing a bunch of kick sounds. Me beatboxing a bunch of drum sounds. I've done a little bit of work on processing these a little more. Where's... Got these 2 crashes. One of them's like an actual cymbal crash, and one of them's like a big like bomb, like open section. Then I have one rise that's me inhaling, and then with like a sweep, and then I have that, which pulses. And this one turns off when you play another sound over it. Like specifically a cymbal sound. And I did that with the group. You can have 8 groups that trigger each other, and if it's single, if it's set to a single trigger in group 2, then that means that it will think it's the only thing allowed to be played in this group. So if something else starts to play, it stops. Same thing works with hats. So I can hold down the open hat key, and you can see that light up. But if I... No, wait. If I go with the closed hat, it thinks there should only be one there. And this, actually... Is that group 2? That's group 1. I was missing that one. So, yeah. Yeah. So I got all this going on. I also got a snap up here. And cowbell. And then I did this bass sample, which isn't going to be audible through this channel. Yeah. And that's just me going and pitch shifting it. And then the stream after that, I did some pads. And I've been adding smart controls to this stuff too. Let's see if I can make the screen a little smaller here. Yeah, just to get the bottom of the screen in there. There we go. Oh no, there's that ugly seam at the bottom. I've got to get rid of that. Alright, so I've been putting smart controls under these things too, and this is just something that you can do in Logic where you can map certain controls in all of the effects. So like here are the pads and the fat effects and the EQ have all of these controls that you can automate, and like you can map those to these like simple knobs here. So if I'm pulling up a template and I'm just like, I want a pad, I just want a rough pad, I have a pad here. And with like these smart controls, what I can do is, let's say I don't want it to be pulsing like that, or I want to be pulsing the other way. But let's just put it at nothing. So I can turn down the cutoff, have it be lower, and I can also dip the mids if I want to. That doesn't do too much with this. There's a bass enhancer. So this is if I want it to be like lower. And I have a temperature thing here. It's chill and heat. And if I open the EQ up here, if I turn the chill up, or let's turn the cutoff up. If I turn the chill up, it brings the highs up. If I turn the heat up, it brings these low mids up. So I can make this real warm, or real icy. So, yeah. So I have smart controls for this pad, just to do some simple things with it. I can also distort it to hell and have it pulse really hard. You know, so that can go as hard as it wants to go. I don't have a master gain here. I don't think I have any more space for that, but you know, I have this, so I can just turn that down. Let's just turn this output down. Oh. Oh no. That wasn't good. Logic does that sometimes. It just blows out my fucking audio thing. Welcome, Cosmo Comic. Excuse me, I'm gonna be snacking. So, basically, I'm gonna save this channel strip setting and call this 2020, and it's gonna be pad bus or say pad channel. Shiny pulse pad. Alright. Let's save this patch too. CJ 2020. Shiny pulse pad. Yeah. Alright, and then we have this bell ARP. So, I don't think I did... Okay, yeah. I wanted this to be there. And then resonance on the... in the retro synth. So that's just some simple settings. That's just stuff to mess with the, I believe a lot of this is messing, I think this is just, some of it might be automatic, but I remember setting these up. Resonance, envelope attack. I wouldn't really want this on a bell synth, actually. Here, let me put you back. Shouldn't have that on a bell synth. There's no point to that. Frequency, that's fine. It's exciter. Okay. But, that one I could do a little more work on, but I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna save that patch. CJ 2020. Bell pad. Alright. And I did a little bit more in the lead synth. I imported some stuff. Oh jeez. That's I'm really not a fan of that. I'm gonna bring the out ceiling down here. I don't like that. Alright, back. I just want to solo a couple cents. Help me out, come on. So I kind of approximated like the synth from, oh Jesus fuck. What's doing that? Why is that still happening? This is infuriating. Give me a second. Is there like something in here? Is it like running me through an amplifier, or is it just fucking my audio? That's crazy. I don't know what's doing that. I want to get into explaining shit. I'm going to save all these things, and then we're going to be rid of this cursed project. I'm going to start a new project. We're going to start from scratch. So let's just save this patch. And call it lead synth. Alright. Now, let's save this patch too. Blood orange channel. And this one too. Vocal bus. And we'll get there. Alright. So I'm just going to make a new blank project. And we're going to bring this stuff back in there eventually. Alright, we're back. Alright, so here's where we're going to get into the meat of the stream. Before we do, I'm going to eat one more pork rind. Three more pork rinds. Notes. All right. So, I have all the things I want to do in my notes. All right. So, I'm going to make an audio track just because I gotta. But I want to do a few things first. We're going to go over... I'm sorry. Let me start over. So, this is a blank Logic project file. By the end of this little sequence here, or, well, this stream, I want to have a full template file that is set up in an optimum way. Excuse me. That is set up in an optimal way for me to approach it and do a demo with it. And mess around with things the way that I usually end up setting up projects anyway. So this is sort of my my ideal clean busing and structure for music production. I'm gonna go over what aux channels and buses are, how they relate to mixing, like it's basically the bottlenecks that everything gets sent through. I'm going to go into sends and ways you can use effects outside of your main channels to let different tracks share effects. And this is really important. If you're mixing stuff, you want your track to sound like a track. You want it to have like a shape and a tone to it. And some of that can be lost if every single track is affected completely differently. It's really good to have common sends, like common reverbs and delays and stuff like that. And keeping and taking note of like how many things are taking up what space. It's easier to compensate for what things are colliding if they're using the same reverb, if they're using the same, delays, and being put in the same virtual spaces, basically. You can apply this with different kinds of sends, and after I do, like, reverbs and delays, I want to get into a few like secret production weapons, some music production secret weapons that I have, and kind of just sometimes out of laziness and sometimes out of just a attempt to spice things up when I think that something is missing something, but I don't really want to mess with the mix as a whole. These are called the crusher, the puncher, the widener, the pulsar, and there's an optional fifth one called the chain. And I don't use the chain often because pulsar usually does the same thing, but chains are good. I might go even further and like chain tracks. I'm tripping up here. I might go even further and go into like vocoder and like vocal processing tracks, because those are really cool. I've used vocoder synths before, but there's ways that you can take different sound and just like you would send something to an effect and get a return. There's ways you can take different track sounds and process them in the same way that a vocoder would with a synth. And you can get some really cool shit out of that. And I might experiment with that a little bit if I get through everything. But basically, I'm going to go over how to contain your different like sections of tracks and buses. I'm going to talk about how mixing basically consolidates space, or how good mixing basically consolidates everything to a specific audio space, and lets the listener be part of that space instead of like tugging them all over the place. And give a few tips on how to do that. So I'm going to talk about like 2 different kind of shared reverb tracks you should have, extra delay effects. I'm going to talk about the crusher, the puncher, the widener, and the pulser. And then I might talk about chains and vocoders. That's how this whole thing is going to go. Before I even get any instrument tracks in, I want to get some extra buses made. So on this first audio track, I'm going to let's make the screen big. Yeah, there we go. So on this first audio track here, I'm going to go into sends. And right away, I'm going to take up 8 buses for my effects, just so they're simple, easy to remember. The first bus is going to be the room bus. So we're going to call this one room. I'm going to make another bus. Bus 2 is going to be called the verb bus, like reverb. I'm going to make another bus. Bus 3 is going to be our delay bus. Bus 4, I'm going to make that one the crusher. Bus 5. Let's pull up the mixer too so we can see all these being made. Bus 5, I'm going to name the puncher. Bus 6, we're going to call that the widener. Bus 7, this track's just getting all of them. It's just getting all of these features here. Track 7 we're going to call pulser. And track 8 is chain. All right, and that's all of them. They're along the bottom here. The text might be a little bit cut off because of the stream, but I can get them out of here by creating tracks for all of them. So now, all of these aux channels, all of these sends rather, have their own channels that they're being sent to, and I can just kind of go over here and give them effects. I'm going to bus all of these. I'm going to add them to a track stack. And this is going to make bus 9. And this is going to be our effects bus. So all of the stuff that we do, all of the effects, we're going to bottleneck it through this, and I preferably don't want to affect this at all. If I have to later, I might. We'll get into that. But let's have all of these effects run through one effects bus. Now that we have that, we can make our other buses. So usually when I mix stuff, the first thing that anything needs, so I'm going to make a software instrument, the first thing that anything needs is percussion. Well, that's not true. The first thing that sound needs, basically, is things at regular intervals, and you could argue that's percussion. My mind's in a weird place right now. I'm trying to figure out a way to narratize this. Let's start with the buses, and then we'll get into percussion. I started out just doing vocals. So honestly, let's take this first track here. Let's make it a track stack. Make it a summing stack. And I have, in here, I have the vocal bus patch. And that's going to give me all my vocal bus settings back. Ooh, save patches. So usually what I do with vocals is I can explain it if I have the smart controls. Yeah. Usually I treat it with a cleanup phase and a processing phase. Cleanup I consider to be like pitch correction and noise gating. Noise gating, if I can, let's turn this on. My voice is going to get phasey. So I'm going to turn my mic down. And so the compressor in Logic is going to be doing most of the heavy pulling for this. I'm going to turn the output gain up just so I can illustrate the point. So if I have put some delay in here, if I turn, no, I don't want that tape delay. Okay. So if I turn the noise gate up, now, unless I'm really loud and nearly clipping the, no, I just can't. So if I, yep, there, okay. So a gate basically only allows audio above a certain threshold to get through and be processed by the rest of the plugin. So if you have, so gates are good because they cut out unnecessary silence, like noise in the background. They turn that into silence. And so gates are good, but if you have them up too high, it doesn't work in your benefit. So let's take me out and make me unphasey. Okay. So that's basically what gating does. There's this little switch here. And if I go back in here, let me be phasey again. So I have, oh yeah, this switch is just pitch correction. So this is basically if I want to just start like a project out of nowhere, and give it a couple quick settings. There I am. So if I just want to start up a project out of nowhere and give it a couple quick settings, I can record a demo and just be like, that's bad. I'm gonna hit my fix it button, just so I can do stuff like that. There's other quick fixes here, like the 5K cut. Here's a quick mixing tip. Hot pro EQ tip. If something sounds too boxy, the frequency to cut usually is around 500 hertz. We have a little hump in our hearing at 500 hertz, and so usually if things are steady, they'll sound a little louder there than they should be. And if you want to make stuff sound less boxy, you can put a little bit of a cut, but it's not going to run it through the fucking channel EQ. All it has the latency. Okay, so if I take out, yeah, so right now, my voice is a little bit phasey because it's going through the processing, but right now this is without a 5K cut. If I slowly turn this up, you'll hear that there's a slight subtle muddiness that goes away. And it's subtle. You can hear it more when you're working with like playback, because there's like layers over this, but we'll get to that. We'll explain that. I could have explained it before. I just kind of wanted to get the fuck out of that project file. But also in the EQ, you can see I have this presence knob, and this will be easier to hear. So if I turn it up all the way, it boosts 3.5K, which is important for vocal frequencies. If you turn it down, it cuts around the same area and also cuts the air out. So yeah. Then I have a ratio knob here.
I have a couple things for the compressor, like at the very bottom here. Ratio is how much this signal is being squashed. I've explained compression here before, but it's how much this symbol is being squashed if it goes over a certain threshold. And usually for vocals, I like to keep it between like 3-1 and 8-1. That usually seems to be a good sweet spot for vocals. This is my preferred like vocal compressor unit. And the only things I really want to change are the ratio and the comp gain, usually. Those are the things that are best to have on hand. And then this button here is the distortion button. So if I click it, it will allow me to turn this up and have a hard clip over the top of the audio. And also turn on and let that enable the compressor's own distortion. So it sounds like aesthetically distorted, basically. And if I turn this off and crank this, it's just gonna clip. So I like to keep for a lot of vocal stuff, you kind of want a little like grind to the vocals, but not all the time. All right, let's get out of phase mode. All right, I'm back. I'm back in the world of the living. So, yeah, we're gonna go over here. We're gonna take. Let's make another audio track and patch this with the guitars. I basically explained the guitars in the first stream. I messed with them a little bit, but I didn't do anything with the smart controls. I don't really have anything to show off there. Let's make you a guitar amp. Yeah. But, oh, I did do something with the smart controls. I don't have something to explain it with, though. I'll copy and paste it. I'll copy and paste all that stuff, and then I'll explain it. Let's make another audio track. Or no, let's make 2 software instrument tracks so I can bring back the pads. I just wanted to show how user patches. Bell pad, lead synth. Yeah, that. Lead synth. Shiny pulse pad. And let's bring back the beatbox. I don't think I saved that version of the beatbox, but we'll have one. Alright, thank you for these pro tips. Hell yeah. Oh, that's not good. That's not what I wanted. Alright, I'm gonna have to go back and get the beatbox. But that's okay, I gotta go back and copy everything anyway. Bell art. Yeah, okay, we got everything. Shiny pulse pad, lead synth. I'm gonna put this above these. And I'm gonna give it this icon. You deserve that, sure. Alright, and then effects at the bottom. Alright, so if we look at our mixing console, let's make that and that go away. If we look at our mixing console, we have all. Yeah, we have our main outs. We have all these buses that don't have any effects in them. And we have all these other tracks from our other thing that don't... You know, that are just sort of... well, these tracks don't have anything in them. So, let's go and let's reach back into that other project. I'm going to call this one New Template. Let's go copy and paste the other stuff. Now that we have this laid out in the auxiliary channels the way that I wanted it to. That was really the only reason I went back, is I wanted to make sure that the aux channels were like the numbers that I wanted them to be, so it'd be easier to explain.
Sorry, I'm crunching. Alright. Alright, 80 degree, or 80. Yeah. Alright, we're gonna save this patch. CJ beatbox kit. Alright. Oh, I didn't save this one. Pluck bass. There we go. Alright, let's copy this. Where's the other one? That's not it. Alright, new software instrument. Alright. Don't fuck with me. Patches. Beatbox kit. Alright. Load me up. Yeah, there's the bass. Cool. Got that. Now let's paste. I think that's right. Oh, that's fast. Needs to be like 80. Or no, it should be like, let's go 78. Okay. So we got that. Let's go. Let's find the pulse pad. Bell ARP. Putting all this back. And then I think that starts here. And then guitars. Like this all the way back. Paste on tracks. Yeah, that's right. No. Here we go. Come on, there's 2 of them. Okay. You can do that. That's fine. Cool. Alright. So now, everything should be back in place. And maybe the vocals might be out of time. That's a possibility. Unless they're flex. Okay, it did it again. There's something wrong here. Fuck. I don't know what it could be. I'm gonna turn a couple things off. And also... Okay. That's fucking crazy. I have not had this much trouble with the audio just getting fucked like that. Please let me play. No. What is going on? This is bad. Okay. I think we're back. I don't know what to do. Alright, I'm getting rid of all of these. I'm getting rid of all this too. We just have the sense. This is really fucked up. There's something wrong there. No! What is going on? I think it's that. Yeah, there's something going on here with the audio. I apologize. I'm so sorry. There's something seriously wrong here. I don't know what to do. It's not letting me do anything in this project. I'm gonna delete all this. Alright, fine. Okay. So, what the fuck happened? Alright, I want this to be turned way down. That's way too loud. Okay, I think we solved something. I think we're good. I think we're in the clear. We did it. We solved it. I solved it. I think there were a bit too many game things going on, basically. Alright. Okay. I was panicked. I was worried this whole thing would be corrupted. I might have to reset a plugin or two. That's fine. I'll work all that out. So. I'm gonna re-record. Whoa. I'm gonna re-record those guitars. Just because I got all this up. Now, guitars are interesting, and they're an interesting way to measure how you perceive different frequencies, because when you hear electric guitar sounds, it's just a wall of really saturated sounds, like really saturated noise. It's, you know, a lot of harmonic distortion and beating between frequencies, amplified to an absurd degree. And so when you're doing processing, you sort of have this palette of like sound to like reference how you're EQing things and how you're, you know, affecting a reverb, because you just hear that general bleed into it itself rather than like the initial effect. It's good for measuring like the externalities, I guess, of audio processing. So, I do need a guitar track to explain some of this stuff easily. And vocal tracks would be nice too. I'm just gonna redo those. Just to make sure I don't, you know, totally corrupt everything. I just want to be safe. Give me... I want to use this, but I want... Oh. Alright, cool. I should tune my guitar. I think I was turned to 432. Wait, I should, before I tune my guitar, I gotta tune my project file down minus 31.8 hertz to get it to true 432 hertz with 357 all harmonic detection Hermode tuning. All right, cool. Now that we're in now we're playing with good frequencies. Why is this so quiet? I think the gates... Turn that gate off. Oh, wrong one. There's gonna be a little bit of weird hoppiness, I guess, but I want to take you out of here and make you louder. Because I want to record. Okay, let's do that again. Count me in. No. Back. Alright. Why? Oh god, that's so quiet. Something's wrong. That shouldn't be that quiet. I gotta do that again, I'm sorry. You know, I might not have to. Alright. You need to go here. You need to go here. Come on. Give me that. I need more, Alright. Let me do that part. I want to do that twice, because I only got one good one last time. One more. Alright, got it. Alright, so I got this lead track. Let's take these two. First one and third one. Man, this is just fun. Yeah. Fuck, okay. The stream's about buses. So I'm gonna put this down. Alright. So, when I was making all those sounds, I purposefully didn't add many things that were like traily or reverby or roomy at all, because I wanted to share as many effects as I could. Not just sharing with you, but sharing with them. You know, the tracks. So I made all those buses originally. I'm gonna go to these buses. I'm gonna take these buses, and they're gonna take me places. All right. So I'm also just gonna. Can I make these like wide? Give them some screen real estate. Yeah. Ooh yeah. Okay. And then here. I want to move this up, just so you guys can see. I think, yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna make this this red one here is gonna be room. Orange is gonna be verb. Delay is gonna be this yellowish color. Crusher is gonna be greenish. Puncher is gonna be tealish. Widener is gonna be like a darker blue. Pulsar is gonna be like purpley. And then chain is gonna be pink. Alright. So we have our 7 colors. Alright. Let's start with room. So, room, you usually, there's some reverb presets in Logic for like small spaces. And like honestly, when you're starting a new track out, like these are good enough, like to look through and get an idea of. And if you look at them, they're usually something. Let's go live chamber. Yeah, we want a live chamber or a reflection room. Let's go reflection room. Let's just pick one. So usually what it gives you is a chorus, a modulator of some kind, a space designer. This is a reverb unit, space convolution engine or whatever, and an EQ. And yeah, that's basically all you need in a reverb bus. You can compress it after the fact if you have a, depending on the sound designer, or depending on the reverb that you're using, you might not have to. But if you want to do effects like gated reverb and stuff like that, you know, you can compress it. But this is about making things share a space. If the reverb is very light and you think that the space could be brought out more by compressing it a little bit, you can do that. But let's just try to make something simple. This is just going to be a little simple room reverb. So let's say that I want my bell arp to sound like it's in the same room as my drum kit. So I'm going to send this to bus 1, which is the room bus. I'm just going to crank it. I'm just going to turn this up really high. And I'm going to solo the beatbox kit with it. Alright. Now, this bell arp is sounding pretty spacey, in my opinion. Sorry, my audio's clipping. I want to turn you down a little bit. Okay. So. The bell sounds like it's in its own space, but the drum kit sounds like it's in its own space. And so, if I want to put these in the same room, I can go to this short room thing. Alright, now, these things sound like they're occupying the same space. And if I have the lead here, it's also just off in its own, you know, it's really stiff. Let's put it in that same room. So now, all of these elements are occupying the same, you know, sonic space, basically. Like, it sounds like they're in the same room. So we can have that effect to a lesser degree if we just turn all of these down. And everything we want to sound like it belongs in the same space, we can keep a little bit of room reverb on it. And so, even with this subtle, you know, thing going on, we've confined everything to a room here. And so things like pads... Oh no. Oh no, the pads fucked it. Hang on. I think it's Fat Effects. I think that's fucking it. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah, this is, it's cranked way too fucking high. It's the fucking Fat Effects. There we go. That's upsetting. Let's load up a new, Fat Effects. It'll be fine. Yeah, I want to put this on, fuck. Where do I put this? Input? Master mix? I don't want to put it on cutoff. I want to have it, like, the whole thing pump. How about compressor amount? Ramp up. Alright, let's try. Okay, it seems to be behaving. Okay. Sorry about that. It's having some tech difficulties. Alright. I've solved what has been fucking up our project. This is pad here. But that pad can stay out of its room. It doesn't really need to be in the same room as the rest of everything because it doesn't have a lot of impulse. This is sort of like reverb is for things that have a lot of impulse that you want to sound like they're, you know, when somebody like claps in a room, you hear the room. When someone goes, "Hey!" in a room, you hear the sound of the room, right? And so impulses, things that are less drony, like if something's already droning, if something's already long and legato, it's not really as important to put it in the same room as everything else. So, room reverbs are good for congealing your impulses, basically. For consolidating your impulses to the same perceived space. Let's move on. So, verb, this basically, we want to do something similar. And this is going to be a little bit more stylized. So, let's have like a big gated chamber, like a 1.1 second thing going on here. And so there's that room, that open room sound that we have, but this is going to be a little bit different. And the last one we did a Space Designer because we were sampling a room. Because this is more stylized, I'm going to go into Chroma Verb, which is Logic's new thing. So I don't want this to be a room. I want this to be a strange room. No, let's theater is interesting. You know what? Let's get a me up here. Let's get a raw me up here so I can run myself through bus 2 here. So that way we can hear live what it's doing to my voice. So first off, let's put me in and make me phasey. Phase me. Let's turn up the bus. Oh, yeah. So there's going to be a little bit of sample delay because of things. So this is very, very affected audio. And I want an output EQ on everything. It gives you one way to EQ everything. It gives you another like EQ unit, even though it gives you EQ units within the reverb. I'm totally fucking unintelligible. Okay, so it does give you an output EQ, but I think there is some argument to be made that it's better to EQ the sound that goes in to the reverb because it sounds more natural. But nobody gives a fuck about sounding natural in music production anymore. And if you're going to limit your options by how natural something sounds, like I don't know what, just don't limit your options. So if you want to make things easier for yourself, and sometimes that's really it. Sometimes it's just about making something fucking convenient and making something sound good. If you can get a good way to sound good that's easy for you and doesn't put any stress, doesn't make it unnecessarily more challenging, you can take the EQ out. You can take the EQ before the thing out, and then you can just use your output EQ. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to candy ass it, right? And I'm going to cut just below 500 in the output EQ, and I'm going to bring up a low cut around like 130, and I'm going to make that 12. I'm going to bump it a little bit. Give it that little Q. I'll give them that. I'll give the masters that. Or 144. Even for people with a lot of experience, there are obstacles and stuff. Yeah, I just live in a cursed fucking castle. Like, you'll probably have an easier time than I do. So, yeah. And I don't want to roll off the top. I I think the top, for a stylized reverb, you want a lot of air. You want the top to be important, so. Alright. Width, I'm going to turn the width up. Just stereo width. Because this is, this is the stylized one. This is the big wide. Alright. Ultra. It's going to be ultra quality. It's going to be real good. Alright. And we do want, we want a little bit of shorter on the air. We don't want the air to, like, linger for too long, but we want it to be there. So, let's make me phasey again so we can hear. And then I do want, on a stylized reverb, I want the low end to be, I want that to die off pretty quickly. I don't want, because bass waves are really long. Let me turn this down. Bass waves are really long, so they, you don't want a lot of reverb in your bass range. Any that you do have there, you want it to be very short. Because anything that lingers in bass space is going to phase with the other bass waves, because they're that fucking long. They're real big. So, less reverb in the bass. I'm basically just cutting out all the, so that's not too necessary to, but I'll give it a softer curve anyway. Just so it, goes away. All right. So here's our big reverb. We can also have this, because of Logic, we can have it decay to the beat. So let's make this last half a bar. This is going to be our half a bar long reverb. So we can count on that consistency. Okay. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. Make it a little more dense. Hear how that sounds. Yeah. I think that's about good. Maybe distant. Yeah, a little more distant. That's a good reverb. Let's go with that. And another element to stylized reverb. Just get me the fuck out of phase space. Okay. Another element to stylized reverb is you can modulate things. So usually I like to add a little bit of a dim D chorus, this D mode chorus here, and not too much, maybe around 10%, and very slow. It's just something that before it goes into the reverb, before you're sending a signal into the reverb, you can sort of mess with it a little bit. You can phase it with itself a little bit before it goes into the reverb. That way, it's partially a signal thing, partially a spreading thing. If you can get mono thing split into a slightly stereo signal before it gets sent into reverb, it's going to play better with, all of those convolutions. All of the convolution of the reverb will be playing off those slight inconsistencies in the stereo audio, which is going to make it, wider. It's going to make it more varied. It's going to make it more spacious, just from having a slightly different phase of a place to start from. You make it explode rainbow glitter. Yeah, that's very important. That's very important to this reverb unit in particular. It has to explode rainbow glitter. It's the theater, see? Spelled with a TRE. Wait, let me bring back the rainbow glitter. Let me just, there we go. Oh wait, no. It's doing that. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. We want to keep things in the lime green to veridic, in the veridic to indigic spectrum here. From the lime green to purple, the spectrum, and it stops when I'm speaking clear. But basically, if you want things to be wide, you want wide reverb, put a little bit of modulation before. Not too much. Your reverb can have little a chorus as a treat. And if you want to go all out, your prosthetic reverb, we could call it, your aesthetic reverb, you can compress that. I'll compress mine at like a 1 to 5.1 ratio, everything all the way down. No distortion, no auto gain, really slow attack, really slow release.
And sometimes I might put some distortion in it depending on the track, but I like to just smooth out the cymbal a little more, make it aesthetic. Okay. Yes, I've been memeing on you. So that is our bus 2, you see. Now we move into delay. Now there's a few different ways that I use delay. There is one bus here that I actually have a tape delay on, and that's the vocal bus. So if I were to play myself through here, solo myself here, you would be able to hear, or well, here, there's this tape delay. This tapping, like 8th notes, I think, or 16ths. So that's one. Usually I have this like really quick. But this is one way to have longer affected, like, it's really hard to talk with the delay. Okay, so there's having a long reverb is one way to add length and space to audio, but another way that you can do that is with delays. Reverb is the actual sound of room reflecting space, and like reverb deals with the shorter waves, the shorter, steadier flow of waves. Delay deals with clap reflection. So it is when you take an impulse and you repeat that impulse rather than just responding to that impulse the way reverb does. There is a metaphysical axis you could draw between how reverb and delay handles its effects. But I'm not here talking about that today. So let's get I like tape delays because you can get a lot of character out of tape delays. And this is mono. Each of these is mono. They shouldn't be. These should each be stereo. Can't be having them. It should be mono. Is this? Yeah, that's stereo. Is all this stereo? Did it turn everything stereo for me? Yes, thank God. Yes, dear God, thank you. Okay. So, let's add a tape delay. You can also add stereo delays. I'm gonna just touch on each of those. Stereo delays are interesting because and if you want to go all out, you can do delay designer. This literally, let's do complex falling pattern. Yeah, this lets you where's me? Make me put me through the delay designer. Go. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So you can do that if you want. But here's tape delay. Test. Tape delay. Test. 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 You can do, that sort of thing. Anyway. The interesting things about tape delay, and I wish I could just talk straight through it. I wish it didn't get shut off because of the low latency safe. Okay, I can make it low latency safe. Cool. Okay. There we go. Now, not only do I get turn this way up. Not only do I get just a delay, I have a flutter rate with it. This emulates when tape would go through motors and things would have variable. You used to have to do tape loops by taking a mic stand and taking it like over to the side of a tape recorder and then actually physically looping the tape around. So this emulates the inconsistencies of old tape flutter methods. So I can turn the flutter intensity up and the feedback up and the flutter rate. So now it's going to have like a little bit of, flutter to it when it repeats things. What you want to do is contain your delay to a sort of phony space, and usually about 200 hertz to maybe 3K or 2.5K hertz is like the ticket. Now, if you listen to this, if you're hearing this back, you might not notice how much phonier the delay got if you're just listening to it. If I turn it way up, though, you're gonna notice that basically the louder signal is being constrained to what it would be on a telephone. But you don't really notice that because the reason that phones originally were, calibrated for that frequency range is because that is the most necessary range for humans to process speech. Since all of music tends to work off of processed speech, or since all of music seems to work from extrapolating how we process different elements of speech and how we process different elements of experience, this range here ends up being really important for general delays. If you want something that is phonier, if you want something that is meant more for pads, then having the higher frequencies also involved are good, but it's best not to have a lot of low frequencies in your delay, because like I explained with reverb, bass waves are really long and you don't want them phasing with each other. So another thing that you can do with this tape delay plugin is stereo spread. So I can just crank. So now you should hear, if you have headphones on, the delay is slightly different in each channel. Now, if I make the tape head diffuse, it makes it a little grittier. And if I turn the clip threshold down, it's going to add a weird tape distortion to everything. So if I turn this up, you're going to hear that the sound has gotten kind of squeaky and also sort of phasey. And that's really good when you want to have long chain effects. This is really, really driven, and usually, you'd want to turn that down a little bit, have it be more moderate. But with sends and effects that you're building into other things, having them, giving them character. These are things that are meant to give tracks character. You should try to mix things the way that you want them to be mixed without adding any extra spaciousness to them. And you should try to have things that share elements and congeal a certain tone. You can get a lot of different tones out of tape delays, just like you could get a different tone out of designing your own delay taps and having that sync up with. If you want to have these patterns, if you want to sound like a million voices in the void whispering to each other over each other, if you want that to be part of your sound, you can go with a delay like that. Okay. Another thing that you can do and use a delay track for is not just for lengthening the signal, but possibly punctuating lines by having the delay be long enough and the distortion be distorted enough that it just creates like a call and answer repetition. So like I can test this like this. Test. 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 If I turn this up to whole note. I am a being after. 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 And you know, you get the idea. It's still going. Cleoth aptitam, they call it. Anyway. So that's another way that you can use delays, and I'm gonna keep that as the way that I'm using this delay. And you know, if as with any of these channels, you can add an EQ and a compressor. Those are some important elements. Usually for my delays, like I said, I like to cut as much of the lows out as possible. If I do stuff that's distorted, I like to err on the side of less lows, less low mids, because distortion tends to come out better with you roast some of the higher frequencies. That's where a lot of the saturation comes out. So that's how you would use that's how you would use those kinds of delays. So since I was talking about distortion, let's get into our fourth bus here, which is the crusher. This is going to be pretty simple. It's a pretty simple concept. We take a distortion box, and then we well, that's it. We take a distortion box. I like using clip distortion because it has a lot of parameters here, and you can mold this. You can mold this pretty readily. Instead of talking and letting my shit and letting my voice get all phasey, I'm just gonna record this chorus again and then affect it. So let's do that really quick. I can't have all this. Well, let's start from like here.
Jag dök till borden, spöjade mig sokram. Guarima sande John mi postit me jutsun. En Jenny om ne chonga nan ne question na udupo. Was me was something jipos. Dök till borden, dök till sokram. Rätta mig hörden, de guerra tog was ombos. En Jenny om ne chonga nan ne question na udupo. Was me was something jipos. Letting us know where the name with me like in toy cars. Was something, letting us know where the name with me like in toy cars. Was something, boss.
I gotta do that again. That was pretty solid, though. Let's do that again.
Jag dök till borden, spöjade mig sokram. Guarima sande John mi postit me jutsun. En Jenny om ne chonga nan ne question na udupo. Was me was something jipos. Dök till borden, dök till sokram. Rätta mig hörden, de guerra tog was ombos. En Jenny om ne chonga nan ne question na udupo. Was me was something jipos. Letting us know where the name with me like in toy cars. Was something jipos. Letting us know where the name with me kunto ikot. Wish me with something, with something deeper.
Alright, I have all that. Cool. So now I have examples I can turn to when I'm mixing things, so I don't have to just be all phasey talking at you. So let's listen to these.
Däck till bollen, däck till sokram. Det där vi har dömt och vad jag tog var som boss. Tell me om det som var när det question now do på. Was me was something, was something, was something he was.
Let's bring these down.
Jag däck till bollen, stödja mitt sokram. Kvar i med sandet, döm mitt post-it med jord som. And tell me om det som var när det question now do på. Was me was something, was something he was. Däck till bollen, däck till sokram. Det där vi har dömt och vad jag tog var som boss. And tell me om det som var när det question now do på. Was me was something, was something he was. It's emptiness away the new and real, I can do it cause. Was me was something he was. It's emptiness away the new and real, I can do it cause. Was me was something he was.
Alright, so okay, here I am. So case in point, these vocals sound pretty bland, and I can fix that with using a few of the sends that we have so far. So the first, I'm gonna put these in a room. So let's solo these.
Jag däck till bollen, stödja mig sokram. Kvar i med sandet, döm mig post-it med jord som. En geni om det som var en annan question now do på. Was me was something ge pass. Däck till bollen, däck till sokram. Det jag mig har dömt och kvar jag tog var som boss.
Yeah. So we have that. We want it to sound really big though too. So we're gonna add a verb 2. We're gonna add our bus 2, which is the wider verb.
Jag däck till bollen, stödja mig sokram. Kvar i med sandet, döm mig post-it med jord som. En geni om det som var en annan question now do på. Was me was something ge pass.
Alright, so that's sounding pretty good. And at the end here, what we can do is let's make a bus 3, right? And we're gonna automate it so that it only plays the lines we want to. So we're gonna turn it up on the last line of the chorus and then keep it on until the very end. Alright, until the very last line, and then we'll shut it off. So that'll sound like this.
Geni om det som var en annan question now do på. Was me was something ge pass. Was me was something ge pass. It's readiness away the new with me, I can do it cause. It's readiness away the new with me, I can do it cause. Was me was something ge pass. Was me was something ge pass. It's readiness away the new with me, I can do it cause. It's readiness away the new with me, I can do it cause. Was me was something ye pass.
Now, we've taken that vocal part I did, and we've elevated it a bit. But we can do more. And in fact, this clip distortion here, we can put this on our... What I usually do is put this on a lead track, this crutcher here. And we're gonna use this. We're gonna experiment with this. With just this lead track here. We're gonna push it through the crusher.
En geni om det som en annan question now do på. Was me was something ge pass. Däck till bollen, däck till sokram. Det jag mig har dömt om kvar jag tog var som boss. Ingegni ogni cioma in anni questo now dopo. Was me was something yipos. Was me was something yipos. You threaten us away the knee with me like in doikos. You threaten us away the knee with me like in doikos.
Now, okay. So I usually reserve like these crusher things. You can also do bit crushers. Bit crushers sound really cool. I might actually just do that instead. But I want to illustrate the point with this, just to kind of go over the frequency range. So like I said with the delay, you kind of want delays to be kind of phony because it gets the point across without disturbing too many of your frequencies that are important. The same thing with crushers. I like to keep the main processing specified between 300 and 3.5K. And then I drive it around like, 25 decibels. There's this high shelving thing that the clip distortion has, which is really good for bringing out the air and the consonants. So if you put it around, let's say like 3.5K, and then put the gain up, it's going to have this, it's going to bring out the presence in the vocal track more. And that's really what we're using this for.
Mjodek bolom, spelar mig sokram. Kvar är med sandet, jam mig på stit med jutsum. En geni om det som han anne questen now dopo. Was me was something yipos.
And we can turn this down a little bit, and fry more of the track.
Sandet, jam mig på stit med jutsum. En geni om det som han anne questen now dopo. Was me was something yipos.
But right around 3.5K is where you're going to get more of the consonants and more of the presence to the voice, whereas everything below that is being pretty thoroughly crushed. Because this is Ascend, we want it to mix at 100%, so let's hear that fully. And now, we just apply an EQ and cut out the artifacts.
En geni om det som han anne questen now dopo. Was me was something yipos. Dekti bolom dekti sokram. Da jami hölten tom quer hölju was ompos. En geni om det som han anne questen now dopo. Was me was something yipos. Was me was something yipos.
Okay, so in the EQ, I'm gonna low cut a bunch just because there's a little bit of sub bass fuckery that happens when you distort things, and a little bit of the low, or well, the midsy mids around like 600. Just to make sure it doesn't totally box everything. How's everybody in the chat doing? I haven't seen any responses for a while. Hope I ain't boring everybody. It's usually around the time that I should be finishing, but I'm only about halfway through this. Drawing some cubes. Just got home. Thanks for keeping me company for the long drive. Hell yeah. You are welcome. Drawing some cubes for homework. What's your homework? What are the cubes for? I'm so curious. Listening to this in the background and taking care of some cognition. Ooh. Alright. So we have the room, the verb, the delay, and the crusher. There's a few more that I want to go over. We're about halfway through. I've recorded some new stuff. I'm going to put this on loop really quick, and I'm going to take a short break. I'm going to come back and read your responses. But, Heavy on his background is Adam Conrad, also in Homework Gang. Hell yeah. It's a Sunday. Alright, I'm going to loop this for a little bit. I will be right back.
Jag dricker bourbon, stöjar mitt sockerram. Går in med sandet, drar mig post-it med ljud som en Jenny on the tongue when I'm the question now do po was me was something that ye boss take the boom that you so come the time we heard and the way you was some boss and Jenny on the tongue when I'm the question now do po was me was something ye boss was me was something ye boss if prejudice somewhere then they will be like in toy course prejudice somewhere then they will be like in toy course was me was something ye boss was me was something ye boss if prejudice somewhere then they will be like in toy course prejudice somewhere then they will be like in toy course was me was something ye boss. Jag dricker bourbon, stöjar mitt sockerram. Går in med sandet, drar mig post-it med ljud som en Jenny on the tongue when I'm the question now do po was me was something ye boss take the
Alright. Alright. So, last few tracks, last few buses I have to do are pretty simple. There's one that I want to talk about a bit. And there's one in here that is like my true secret weapon. These are all just normal tricks. But there's one I'm going to get to that I don't see used that often. And I use it a fuck ton. So, the puncher, the next one here, bus 5 is the puncher. In this, I usually use really sparingly. I honestly only use it for kick and snare parts, mostly. But here's the principle. There's a thing called a compressor, which detects an audio transient and brings it down, and has a release so that it can slowly bring the audio back to where it was before after it compresses it, or after it brings it down. So, it's the idea of something hits, and so it ducks the audio until the sound has gone on long enough that it can bring the level back without messing with anything. If you invert that concept, you end up with something called an enveloper. And an enveloper lets you set the attack of something higher than what it actually is going in, rather than compressing it. So if you want something to hit even harder, if you want something to be snappier, you can run it through an enveloper, and it'll make your attacks attackier, and can also, has same thing with releases. It draws another envelope over your sound. It's great. So great. And I'm gonna give this about like 50 milliseconds. And the release is gonna be a bit longer, like 150. And just bring the release down. And turn the out level up a little bit. So, this enveloper, anything we send to it is going to get hit harder. So, I'm going to make sure that I have a, where is it? Limiter. Not something anything, not anything taxing, but just a limiter. Just to make sure that it doesn't clip. And the release, it's going to be pretty fast. So I'm going to go into kick, and I'm going to send this to the puncher. I'm going to turn this up, and I'm going to send the snares also to the puncher. And then I'm just going to go to that enveloper and then toggle between playing it and muting it and show how it sounds. So no puncher. Now let me go in and crank the puncher in both those tracks. Puncher. There we go. Now no puncher. And another important thing for the puncher, I almost forgot to mention it, is you want to go into, here's a little specialized utility. You want to go into the utility section and you want to hit gain. And now you can turn your whole signal mono. And this is important for if you want something to have more snap and more attack. You need it to be the same on both channels because you want it to override the other signals. Like, you want it to be present, hitting. If the attack is different on both sides, it's not going to have the same attack. So, mute. Now with puncher. And that's exaggerated. So I'm going to tune these down more like, you know, like -8 each. And this leads into, this is going to lead into another send that I'm going to talk about in a minute. In fact, I'm going to send it there now, just so I can get to it once we get there. It's going to be send 8. And give that no output. All right. The next one. This is my true secret weapon. If you have heard a song by me, you have undoubtedly heard this sound effect. And it's not just a kind of modulation. It's a specific way that I use modulation. And it is the same way that a lot of people use reverb and delay units shared across tracks. I will use a affected modulation unit shared across tracks. Sometimes I combine this with the crusher. For Jekyll and Hyde, I combined the widener and the crusher a lot. And so a lot of vocal parts, like, you know, as they build up, they get crazier and they get more distorted. But this one is really good for things that have a lot of center, but you want to spread their highs out a little bit. So things like certain kinds of bass lines, certain kinds of pads, backing vocals maybe, vocoders especially. This is called the widener. So bus 6 is the widener. And let's talk about that. Let's talk about what the widener is. You want to make sure that you can make your stereo information interesting. But you don't want to constantly be adding a bunch of extra trails and shit to your signal. A bunch of extra reverb and a bunch of, you know, like, that's more information. Is there a way that you can add more space without really adding more signal, but just changing the signal that's there? This is the idea behind the widener. And like I was saying before with that little chorus that goes into the chroma verb, this is that same concept. Only without the reverb. We can send these to a reverb. We can have this be tied to a reverb later on, but this is its own thing. There's a few different kinds of modulation that Logic has. I really like that chorus. I really like that chorus more than anything. Flangers are also pretty cool. I like flangers. Let's go up here and I want to talk through a flanger really quick. Just so I can do that. So I can talk through a flanger. Give me that good flange. Testing. Testing? Testing 1, 2, 3. Where am I? Why am I not coming through? Oh, okay. It wasn't solo. So, as you can hear, there's this flangey effect over me. And it's going very slow. I believe this is the sound effect they use for 343, Guilty Spark in Halo. But if you want to add this bubbly effect, you can turn up the rate. I usually turn the rate up around 7 or 8 hertz. So that's 7 or 8 times a second. Maybe even like 11 times a second. I want it to be close to not being an LFO, but still being an LFO. So, and then I turn the intensity down. Turn the intensity down, so that way it's confined to this more watery space. I can turn the rate down too a little bit. It's mostly about getting these things spread. The feedback, you can, if you crank that, it's gonna sound like this. So you don't want it to be too crazy. I keep it around like 30%, and then this is a bus, so we mix full. Why am I that like delayed? That's weird. I think it's just because of the flanger. That's interesting. Anyway. So, that's one way to use the widener. Another way to use the widener is with bass. Bass is really good for the widener. But I'm gonna add, before the widener, I'm gonna add a single band EQ to cut out the bass. So we're gonna have this be a low cut that starts at around 230 hertz. Yeah, and it's gonna be at 8 decibel slope. Q factor just above 70, just so we can get that little bit of a bump. All right, and that's gonna cut out our where'd it go? You know what? No, I want it to be higher than 230. I want it to be around like 450, 440. Yeah. I don't want anything that could be considered bass frequency. I don't want any tones coming through this. I want just the upper harmonics of bass signal and, upper characteristics of vocal tone. Maybe upper high notes, But that's what I want to send to the widener here. And the last thing I want to add is, well, let's put some on this bass here. We have this bass buzz. We're gonna send it to the widener. Let's make it. Okay, I don't need to be coming through there. All right, let's crank. Where's the buzz? Here it is. There we go. So you can hear that flange in there. I could actually go a little higher with that EQ. Let's go around just like 580. That's good. And now what we want to do is go into imaging and add a direction mixer. And now we want to put you can do a split here where you can have the low frequencies be more mono. But we don't have any fucking low frequencies, so we don't need to do that. So we're just gonna spread this to be all different stereo signal, basically. So it's going to take only the information that is not the same in between the tracks, in between left and right. So, okay, how this works, how the stereo mixer works, is it scans for what information is the same between tracks and what information is different between tracks. If you spread it out 100 times, it's going to take all of the center sound out. So let's go find... Did I solo that? I can't see. Okay. So let's just solo just this. Give me a second. Yeah. So if I take the EQ out, you can hear a lot of the bass information is in the center there. And a lot of the higher info is off to the sides. So, since we have the EQ off, we can actually split this. And let's draw the crossover at about like, yeah, around like 500 hertz. And we'll bring all of the low spread inward, and we'll spread all of the high stuff outward. So that's another way we can handle this widener thing. But we're adding more bass signal, and I don't want to do that, so let's roll off the bass signal here. So it processes it under 220. It's okay. So the single EQ, we're gonna low cut 220. We're gonna flange it, and then we're gonna put all of the stuff below 500 back in the center, or all the stuff above like, yeah, 500 hertz back in the center, and spread the higher parts farther apart. So if we go back to the bass and solo this too, we can take away the widener. Yeah. So now we got more info off to the sides here. Also, hey Haley. Oh, I had to reach over to do that. All right, so that's the widener on the bass, but we can add this to other things. Let's go to the bell arp, for instance, and that only has the room on it. Let's make that wider. So let's take this bell arp, turn up the widener. Wide. Spacious. So let's give it a little bit of that. The lead synth, we could make that a little bit wider, because it does have a lot of mono information in there. But not a lot. Just a little bit. Lead guitar tracks? Definitely. The widener works great with these. I love what the widener does to lead guitar tracks here. Let's add some of this. Turn off the repeat. Yeah. Adds that little bit of space to it, and especially vocals. So I used a drive on this one. I'm going to send this other one to a widener. So that way, we have one that is trying to be more driven and centered, and one that's trying to be more wide and off to the sides. And let's hear how this mixes.
Jag dricker på dem, stöjar mig så kram. Kvar i mig samtidigt som mig postigt med jord som en geni om det som en annan question av dopa. Was me was something ge pass. Dricker på dem, dricker så kram. Det jag mig hört runt om kvar hur du var som pass. En geni om det som en annan question av dopa. Was me was something ge pass. Was me was something ge pass. If threaten is away then they with me I can do it cause. If threaten is away then they with me I can do it cause. Was me was something ge pass. Was me was something ge pass.
So now, let's hear some of this in context now that we've added a bit more mixing.
Jag dricker på dem, stöjar mig så kram. Kvar i mig samtidigt som mig postigt med jord som en geni om det som en annan question av dopa. Was me was something ge pass. Dricker på dem, dricker så kram. Det jag mig hört runt om kvar hur du var som pass. En geni om det som en annan question av dopa. Was me was something ge pass. Was me was something ge pass. If threaten is the way then they will be I can do it cause. Was me was something ge pass. If threaten is the way then they will be I can do it cause. Was me was something ge pass.
So, we've added some extra layers to things. And I'd still need to mix a bit more, but you can hear how things have more effects. They have more room and sound to them. Well, let's keep going. So the pulsar is another thing that I sort of went over, and it's just like, honestly, it's just a drive with some fat effects attached to it. And so, you know, basically, you can ramp something up, let's say like a quarter note, and you can tie it to the master output, turn this down, and then you can turn, you know, compressor down, and turn up a soft saturation or a bit crush, and then you can just have it go ham, and have it pump. So let's take these guitars, and you know, this is really easy. This is just a pumping thing. So we can take these guitars and we can put them through the pulsar, and it's just gonna make them pulse, and that'll be how that sounds. So let's just do that. Let's put this guitar and this guitar through the pulsar, and then solo them. And they're not working because Fat Effects is being a bitch. Okay. Doesn't want to cooperate. Okay, let's turn you off. Let's actually have this on the filter drive. So now, when we play this back with everything else, it's gonna have like a, you know, just a pulse to it. But that one, you know, on its own, unless you have some intent for a track, like, I did, Placebo. My track Placebo is with everything, every reverb, everything getting sent to a pulsar bus. And so there's this whole, across everything in the track. And that's because I'm sending everything to a pulsar bus, but I'm also doing something else with it, and it's the last kind of bus I want to spend time talking about. And it is the chain. I'm referring to side chains, and these are very important concepts. I'm not going to do anything with this bus. I'm not going to put anything in it. In fact, it has no output. I don't have to do anything with it. I just have to send tracks to it and call tracks from it for it to work. So anything that I want to send, anything that I want to have affect other tracks' signals, I'm going to send to this. So like the puncher tracks that I sent to this, like the kick. I want the kick to go to... Where the fuck is it? The chain. I want the kick to go to the chain. And then crank it. Because it doesn't... you know, we're not going to hear it. It's just going to the chain. So now that the kick is going to the chain, we can take these other tracks here. Let's see. FatFX, does this have a side chain? Yeah, and there is a compressor here, so it's going to sidechain into the compression. And we're going to compress it by the... puncher kicks? Yeah. And we're going to compress it by the chain. We're going to do that to the pad. We're going to do that to the bell ARP. I'm going to have to make a compressor on the bell ARP, but I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to put this chain in, like so. Yeah. And right away, okay. Lead synth, I'm not going to touch that. And then Juicy Citrus Lead, instead of doing the pulsar, I'm going to make this respond directly to the chain. So I'm going to go... Oh, wait, I don't have a compressor here. So I'm going to... Do I have a compressor here? Does the multipressor take sidechain? It does not. All right, let's pull up a normal fucking compressor. All right, so I'm going to take the guitars also and sidechain them with the chain. Fast attack, slow release. And now, when I play everything, all of the compression is going to be being affected by the kick drum. Let's listen.
Jag räckte på dem, stöja mitt sokram. Kvar i med sandet, jag mitt post-it med jordsom. En drömning om det som en annan kvästen och då på. Was me was something ge pass. Räckte på dem, räckte sokram. Där jag mig hör dömd och var det du var som post. En drömning om det som en annan kvästen och då på. Was me was something ge pass. Was me was something ge pass. If prettiness and where the new with me, I can do it cause. Was me was something ye pass. Was me was something ye pass. If prettiness and where the new with me, I can do it cause. Was me was something ye pass.
All right, this is already sounding like something. All right. Okay. So, that might be subtle. I can solo each one of these. So now, every time the kick hits, it is ducking, it is affecting, and every track responds to the sound of the kick, even though the kick isn't there. Even though the kick isn't playing through that audio, rather. So whenever there is a kick, you hear it, because everything else lets the kick play louder than it for just as long as it needs to. And I'm also gonna send the snare there.
Jag räckte på dem, stöja mig sokram. Kvar i med sandet, jag mig post-it med jordsom. En journey on it, someone and the question now do po. Was me was something was something jipos. Räckte på dem, räckte sokram. Det jag mig hörde, då var det jag var som boss. En journey on it, someone and the question now do po. Was me was something jipos. Was me was something jipos. If that is somewhere, then it will be like in toy cars. Was me was something jipos. If that is somewhere, then it will be like in toy cars. Was me was something jipos.
All right, the last thing I want to do, and you know, I've rolled over time, but I do want to fuck with one more thing. I do want to show one more thing off, and that is the vocoder. Now this is interesting. Our side chain for this is going to be the lead vocal track. And our signal is going to be just this this here. So let's play from here. Let's turn this up. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so this is a vocoder. We're gonna send it through the widener, and we're gonna send it through the affected reverb rather than the room. Just to. Now what this is doing is it's taking the consonant sounds and general formants of the vowels and playing a synth sound instead of, you know, the voice sound, basically. Okay, so there is another kind of thing that we can do here. I want to add a new bus, and there are so many buses. There's so many fucking buses. And honestly, I might replace Pulsar with it, because the chain pretty much does what Pulsar needs to do. So let's talk about, instead of Pulsar, since we have another way to solve that problem that's you know, uses more of the track, let's change our 7 bus to, is there like filter? Evoc track oscillator. I believe that is, yeah, it's the same thing. Okay. So, now we have a sidechain that, let's take the vocals lead. That's our sidechain, track analysis in. Sidechain. Okay, so track means anything that is going to this track is going to be treated as the synthesizer for the vocoder. The sidechain is going to be what is being analyzed. So with our Pulsar up, and let's go to the guitars. Yeah, and we still have these up. So we're gonna use this bus 7. Bus 7. Welcome, Melskido. This isn't Pulsar. It's gonna be oscillator. But let's hear how this sounds. That's very quiet. Come on. Oh, okay, it's got to play the sidechain too. Okay, so let's take the pad.
Was vi was something gick oss.
Okay, there we go.
Jag gick till poolen, ställde mig i Stockholm. Kvar innan sanden tog mig puls dit med ljud som en drömning om ett sommar när kvästen och dopa. Was vi was something gick oss. Gick till poolen, gick till Stockholm. Där mig hörde på kvar hur tog oss om boss. En drömning om ett sommar när kvästen och dopa. Was vi was something gick oss. Was vi was something gick oss. I trettiennes år den är i byn då i kors. Was we was something gick oss. I trettiennes år den är i byn då i kors. Was we was something gick oss.
Okay.
Jag gick till poolen, ställde mig i Stockholm. Kvar innan sanden tog mig puls dit med ljud som en drömning om ett sommar när kvästen och dopa. Was vi was something gick oss. Gick till poolen, gick till Stockholm. Där vi hörde de kvar hur tog oss om boss. En drömning om ett sommar när kvästen och dopa. Was vi was something gick oss. Was vi was something gick oss. I trettiennes år den är i byn då i kors. Was we was something gick oss. I trettiennes år den är i byn då i kors. Was we was something gick oss. Jag gick till poolen, ställde mig i Stockholm. Kvar innan sanden tog mig puls dit med ljud som.
Okay. Yeah, I pretty much got everything built. I pretty much got everything built that I want to. I kind of want to mess with this though. So let's see. We got up to there. Let's take this drum loop and put it. Alright, I don't want this snare. I want a snap. Where's my snap? Okay, convert loops to regions, and join those, and then okay. 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 I'm making chords and choruses of the same thing. Keep ignoring the foreigners to our closed offering. Your heart in your throat and closed magnetic wings. Your actions have a voice in the ether it can sing. I'm playing string loops, making wings swoopy and feel wavelengths, bringing shapes through to you specifically. Experience it differently. If you can hear me. Okay, what's playing here? Where are all these supposed to be? I'm just rebuilding this track. That's loud. That's so loud. Fuck. Where is that coming from? That's the pulsar, but I mean, let's turn that down. Like -8.
Täckte bandet till Stockholm. Där tar vi hörden, de skär ut och som boss. Men den är om det som han annan kvästen och då på. Was vi was something was something i boss. I trätten är så rädda nu är vi och jag kan dra i kors. Was vi was something i boss. I trätten är så rädda nu är vi och jag kan dra i kors. Was we was something i boss. Was we was something Was we was something Was we was something i boss. I trätten är så rädda nu är vi och jag kan dra i kors. Was we was something i boss.
Alright, and I can bring these loops back. I'm just remaking this shit. Just want to show you, with all this stuff that I have set up, I can just basically remake Elemental. I don't even have the dun 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 things. Where are those? Why is it like that? Yeah. Start here. No, give me the count-in. Alright, that's what I need. Then I can do guitars over that in a bit. But I have all this. Alright, and then take that out.
Was something gibbos. I tretine som ujedene with me like in toikos. Was something gibbos. I tretine som ujedene with me like in toikos. Was something gibbos.
Test. Alright. Kind of want to... All this done from scratch. Everything you hear, I've done on stream. Configured on stream in front of your eyes. Alright. let's put this in here. Okay.
All these dots draw me lines, give me enough to find every angle in the plot that rings a note of the divine. Let me try to find mine by making time, rhyme relating scene signs. I'd hate being confined to give me life. I need the nature to surf through an eye, to observe through a pair of hands to do my work. Though it's worth doing, no worse losing out on the verse brewing, no curse doing. I'm making corners and choruses, it's the same thing. Keep ignoring the foreigners to our closed off bring your heart in your throat and closed magnetic wings. Your actions have a voice in the ether, it can sing. I'm playing string loops, making wings swoop. EMP the wavelengths, bringing shapes through to you specifically. Experience it differently. If you can hear it, maybe listen to me. Bring me the bass, spit the acid. We'll make the souls of the earth that they're dancing. My engine in combustion and you can't blow a gasket. I am a being after. Give me bass, give me acid. I'll play the metal and the radiation bastard. My engine in combustion and you can't blow a gasket. I am a being after. If seeing ain't believing, then I can't put it past you. Take what the waves gave you and make it matter. If seeing ain't believing, I can't put it past you. Take what the waves gave you and make it matter.
Yeah. Alright, there's a few things here that I don't want to still be there. Alright.
My sense is an elevation, ascend above and beneath for simple self-preservation. I arrange my gravitation, create my own elation. I'm reaching out, I'm urging imitations. Those dimensions made it 3, I can count to 4. Keep investing chains, maybe I can count to even more. Learning schemes, taking notes, tally resulting, keeping score. Adding mile-high lines, your bloodline's lore. I made a difference, nothing what you think at first pass. Chart spinning, mass turning tangible fact. I roll through a plane invisible to you, and when I lack clarity, you create your own truth. We keep things loose. Points are approximate, crystal ether juice, they're electric intoxicants. You've heard the formula, here's the concoction. Turn up for you loud, down is not an option. Bring me the bass, I'll spit the acid. We'll make the salt of the earth that they're dancing. My engine in combustion and you can't blow a gasket. I am a being after. Give me bass, give me acid. I'll play the metal and the radiation bastard. My engine in combustion, you can't blow a gasket. I am a being after. If seeing ain't believing, I can't put it past you. Take what the waves gave you and make it matter. If seeing ain't believing.
Loop me too early. Fuck. Please, let me do this.
Put it past you.
There we go.
Take what the waves gave you and make it matter. If seeing ain't believing, I can't put it past you. Take what the waves gave you and make it matter. I am a being after. I am a being after. There's more to light and dark to me. I got experiences and a part to piece it through each you when the heart beats patterns. When the privilege to climb this ladder, found tools and how to use them, and it can choose from the rules and its illusion. Unquenchable high signal ratio amidst disaster. I am a being after.
Yeah. Here's another idea.
Choose from the rules and its illusion. Unquenchable high signal ratio amidst disaster. I am a being after. Breathe the bass, I'll spit the acid. We'll make the salt of the earth that are dancing. My engine ain't combustion and you can't blow a gasket. I am a being after. Give me bass, give me acid. I'll play the metal and the radiation past it. My engine ain't combustion and you can't blow a gasket. I am a being after. I am a being after. Jag däck till fordon, spöjar mig suchram. Kwarima sandet som mi postit med jusom. En zenji om det som har nanne kväsen na hudupo. Was me was something jipos. Däck till fordon, däck till suchram. Det gör mig hör du hund och kvar hör du vad som pos. En zenji om det som har nanne kväsen na hudupo. Was me was something jipos. I threatened the way that they with me waking to equals. Was me was something jipos. I threatened the way that they with me waking to equals. Was me was something jipos.
Yeah. Alright, now I want to try something with these verse tracks here. I want to try something interesting. So let's take this. Let's make this. Let's send this one to the vocoder. Or we're gonna make this. Yeah, okay. We're gonna go into our vocoder, both of our vocoder channels. And we're gonna change the side chain to this track up here. Verses. Let's find it here. Audio. Verses. Alright, this is gonna be 13.
All these dots draw me lines, give me enough to find every angle in the plot that rings a note of the divine. Let me try to find mine, but making time rhyme relating same signs. I'd hate being confined. All these dots draw me lines, give me enough to.
Okay, it's scooted over for some reason.
All these dots draw me lines, give me enough to find every angle in the plot that rings a note of the divine. Let me try to find mine, but making time rhyme relating same signs. I'd hate being confined to give me life. I need an agent to surf through, an eye to observe through, a pair of hands to do my work through. It's worth doing, no worse losing out on the verse brewing, no curse doing. I'm making corners and choruses if the same thing. Keep ignoring the foreigners to our closed off ring. Your heart in your throat and closed magnetic wings. Your actions have a voice in the ether it can sing. I'm playing string loops, making wings whoop. EMP all the wavelengths, bringing shapes through to you specifically. Experience it differently. If you can hear it, maybe listen to me. Bring me the bass, spit the acid. We'll make the salt of the earth that they're dancing. My engine in combustion and you can't blow a gasket. I am a being after. Give me the bass, spit. The earth that they're dancing. My engine in combustion and you can't blow a gasket. Roll through a plane invisible to you. You've heard the formula, here's the concoction. Turn the foil loud down, it's not an option. Bring me the bass, I'll spit the acid. We'll make the salt of the earth that they're dancing. My engine in combustion and you can't blow a gasket. I am a being after. Give me bass, give me acid. I play the metal and the radiation bastard. My engine in combustion, it can't blow a gasket. I am a being. Give me bass, give me acid. I play the metal and the radiation bastard. My engine in combustion and it can't blow.
Let's try this.
All these dots show me lines, give me enough to find every angle in the plot that rings a note of the divine. Let me find Bring me the bass, I'll spit the acid. We'll make the salt of the earth that they're dancing. My engine in combustion and you can't blow a gasket. I am a being after. Give me bass, give me acid. I'll play the metal and the radiation bastard. My engine in combustion and you can't blow a gasket. I am a being after. If seeing ain't believing, then I can't put it past you. There we go. Take what the waves gave you and make it matter. Bring me the bass. Bring me the bass.
Okay, I'm trying to do something very specific with this.
Enough to find
I'm gonna send this to Widener.
Bring me the bass, I'll spit the acid. We'll make the salt of the earth that they're dancing. My engine in combustion and you can't blow a gasket. I am a being after. Give me bass, give me acid. I played the mental and the radiation bastard. My engine in combustion and you can't blow a gasket. I am a being after. If seeing ain't believing, then I can't put it past you.
There we go.
Take what the waves gave you and make it matter. If seeing emotions is an elevation, stand above beneath for simple self-preservation. I arrange my gravitation, create my own elation. I'm reaching out, I'm urgent imitations, those engine in combustion. I'm reaching out, I'm urgent imitations, those dimensions made it 3. I can count to 4. Keep investing chains, maybe I can count to even more lines. Taking no style, resulting, keeping score. 8 mile high lines, till bloodlines roar. I made a difference, stopping what you think at first pass. Chart spinning, that's turning tangible fact. I hope through plainly there's a polio. And when I lack clarity, you create your own truth. We keep things loose, points or approximate, crystalline the juice, electric intoxicants. You learned the formula, here's the concoction. Turn the foil loud down, it's not an option. Bring me the bass, I'll spit the acid. We'll make the salt of the earth after dancing. My engine in combustion and you can't blow a gasket. I am a being after. Give me bass, give me acid. I played the mental and the radiation bastard. My engine in combustion and you can't blow a gasket. I am a being after. Bass, I spit the acid.
Alright. So what I've been trying to do is getting most of this vocal track to come through the effects. None of it is actually coming out of this track. I'm just sending it to different effects. I'm getting something interesting out of this, basically.
Keep ignoring the finals till I close down fling. Your head goes like nothing wings. Your actions have a price and you do it for sin. Loops making rings with EMP all the way lines, planning shapes, no deal specifically. Stereotypical. If you can hear it, maybe listen to me. Bring me the bass, I'll spit the acid. We'll make the salt of the earth after dancing. My engine in combustion and you can't blow a gasket. I am a being after. Give me bass, give me acid. I played the mental and the radiation bastard. My engine in combustion and you can't blow a gasket. I am a being after. If you can hear it, maybe listen to me. Bring me the bass, I'll spit the acid. We'll make the salt of the earth after dancing. My engine in combustion and you can't blow a gasket. I am a being after. give me bass, give me acid. I break the metal and the radiation past it. My engine ain't combustion and you can't blow a gasket. I am a being after.
So I've done all that I wanted to do this stream. I've streamed for 3 hours, and made all the points I wanted to. When I get all of this cleaned up, I will remove all of these tracks and get all of these, aux tracks cleared and simplified, and I will have a new template track, so whenever I do demos, I can have something to start from. And I'm going to put that and possibly the raw samples for the drum kit up for archivists on Patreon, the archive tier. But, these are going to be edited down into a YouTube series, and that will be coming out soon. I will have more to show about the next Hi-Am case release very soon as well. So, stay tuned for that. I have Pan coming out this week, hopefully, if nothing else gets in the way. May have to delay that a week. I hope I don't. The story just got a lot longer, so I'm making sure I can retool things and bridge where it was supposed to end into where I want to take it. Other than that, I'm just going to get through my week. So, I hope you guys have a good week. I hope you guys have a good rest of your Sunday. I will see you guys around. Good luck out there. Keep climbing. Do not ever look down. See you around. Hell yeah. I don't need any of that. Also, if I do a Conlang mix of Elemental, it's probably going to be with this instrumental. So, keep a lookout for that. More about that soon. See you around. I'll be chilling on Discord the rest of the evening, probably, if I'm not playing Metroid. Have a good night. Good luck out there. Keep climbing. Do not look down.